God. Yeah. Okay. And okay. Is there any effects? Sorry, I'll introduce you in a second. I'm just so upset.
Why are you so stressed out?
Because I have to set this cunt, excuse my language, up. I didn't mean to say that word. Sorry. I have to set this.
God.
I have to set this podcast up, and it takes ages. You have to get. I'm not going to go on about it. The framing, the audio, the this, the lights, the everything, and then you're just sitting there, nattering away like nothing's wrong. And I find your happiness.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Do you not have a handkerchief? Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so upset.
We were talking about Des Bishop, and that upset you.
Oh yeah, Al going on about hanging out with Des Bishop over,
You
instant.
like Des.
Yeah. You like Des. I like lots of people. But I mean, going on about.
What are you saying about Des?
No, but he's going on about, I was hanging out with Des, and he's this, and he's got a big apartment, and it's like, yeah, okay,
He's
Al.
got a wife. He's got an apartment.
I know,
as
but
well, and they.
But I mean, you don't come into somebody's
door.
house and tell them all how great things are.
No, for Des.
Yeah, okay, it's great, Al.
I live at home with my parents.
Yeah.
That was too much.
Oh, Jesus, the sound. Huh? Could you turn up your sound? Yeah, and turn off the music and do it again. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
I apologise.
Go on.
Who's going to be fired?
There's no sound.
Are we firing someone?
No, we can't hear you.
I'm already sweaty.
No, you're not. You look.
Are you plugged in?
great. Oh, don't worry. It's just a.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cut this out.
Oh shit! I have to pay for my car. Let's do it quickly.
Oh Christ! I'm so sorry, Al. Do you know what I mean?
I like it.
No, but Al, I just apologize. Like, Jack came here a half an hour earlier. Yeah. Check the sound, and here we are. Can you imagine if this was a live show?
When did you get home from London?
I can't engage on anything until this is sorted out.
Wait.
Come on. Excuse me, Jack. Let me get in there. Can you just get out of the way, please?
Let's be in silence for a few minutes and meditate.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. I like to meditate.
To you?
Yeah.
What kind of just sitting quietly or what? A meditation
sometimes
can
I
be.
do a guided meditation.
Yeah.
Other times I'll pray, and then sometimes I'll just sit.
You pray like to God, or just like your own words?
Yeah, just my own words. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you find the things that I come back to that I repeat, but mostly, or sometimes just a guided. Those guided ones can be good.
Yeah. Because
breathe in patience, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Breathe out confidence.
Does it go? Is it in?
Yes.
Jesus,
apparently,
Mary.
I've got the thing we can
Hannah,
do
I swear to God, if you start talking about
Breathe
guided
into 4,
meditation, if you start talking about
hold it
yoga,
for
if you start
7,
talking about...
breathe out with your mouth with 8, and it resets your system.
I remember. I was going. Are we recording, Daniel?
Yes.
I'm so upset. I remember I was going out with this girl,
Well, you
right?
can try with me first.
Oh Christ! Okay, Al. I was going out with this girl, and she'd try and calm everything down by meditating, but she did it as a form of fuck off. She'd be just there. You'd be having an argument, and she'd just be, and it's like, you fucking passive aggressive bastard. It's you're saying something that I disagree with. Are you okay? Yeah, you're not okay. You're not spiritual. You're full. A lot of those spiritual people are the most angriest bastard I've ever met in my life.
Well, you're definitely not fucking spiritual.
Well, you're not. Oh, I'm not. Is what? Because I'm being critical. Elon Musk can send people to Mars.
Easygoing people who make a thing out of being easygoing are not generally easygoing, I don't think.
Okay,
That-
Jack, can
that's-
you introduce this podcast? Because I'm almost in tears. I'm so upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to And That's Why We're Not Together. Starring David McSavage, Hannah Andrews, and special guest, Mr. Al Porter.
Thanks, Al, for being here. And my princes, Jack, you need to get your shit together. And Daniel, doing everything by the book.
You plugged out my mic, you prick, so fuck you.
Don't call your dad prick. Don't say fuck you to your dad. Can we get the elephant out of the fucking room straight away and address, like your hiatus, your sabbatical?
Yeah, straight in.
So do you know what I mean? Because that's what people will be.
I
It's
think
funny.
they listen to it for you.
Say that again.
I think they probably come to this for you,
Oh,
mostly.
Well, can I just first of all say that we don't have a lot of viewerships.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know there'll be a lot of comedians looking at our viewing figures and thinking, they're not doing too well. First of all, fuck off.
Fuck you.
Second of all, I'm doing this because it's hanging out with my
With your children who aren't looking at you.
who want to-
And they call
But-
you prick.
They call you.
Because
But
it
it-
just reminds you
They
of
said much
childhood.
But it is nice because usually, the kids, they grow up and they go their separate ways. It's nice to be doing something together. So that's kind of the main motivation that I'm doing this. And
Yeah.
if people watch it, good. And if people don't, it would be a nice side effect if more people watched it. But, eventually they'll catch on.
Yeah, and they realize how genius this podcast is.
Thank you. Oh, sweet.
Is it the only...
What a sweet Hannah to say that.
Yes, because
And
it
yeah,
is.
yeah, and actually,
It
do you know
really is
something?
Funny. It's much funny. I listen to Osbournes,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
we are much better than
To
them.
who will you listen to?
I was talking to Osbournes.
Like Sharon Osbourne?
Yeah.
Does she have a podcast?
No, they have podcasts as a family. Osbourne.
really?
Yeah.
Like the TV show from 20 years ago, but now...
Yeah, it's not as
Didn't know
good as the other.
Okay.
They just sit like us and just talk.
I think you're the only Irish family podcast. I mean, the Burkes could do one, couldn't they?
Who are they?
Like Enoch Burke and Amy and his
Don't know
sister
those
and all
ones.
that.
Who are they?
No, but they don't do one, but they're mostly in court.
Your eyes are a bit intense, Al. Do people tell you that?
Listen,
You need
I
to
know.
check in the mirror and sort of adjust your...
Yeah, but Dave,
There
you
you
can't
go.
criticize
Go.
somebody for who they are. I've
Okay.
always been a
Look,
little bit,
Look, just try
it's social anxiety.
Okay, look, it's funny,
You really put me at ease with, can we get the elephant out of the room?
but no, okay, let's just hang a
You
second.
look a bit intense, Al,
Because-
now that I brought
because-
up that
because,
really difficult time.
Because people, like I was saying to my neighbours,
Yeah.
and they're in their 20s, I'm going to be talking to Al Porter, and they had no idea who you are.
Yeah.
So a lot of young kids wouldn't know. Well, they don't know me. A lot of young kids, and they shouldn't know us. I mean,
No, I mean, I missed a whole, even the first time round where I was doing things like the late, because of the type of thing I was doing, people who came to the show were mostly in their 40s and 50s anyway.
the type of type of. You mean
Like
this is
making an appearance on the Late Show and then doing a bit of that innuendo carry-on stuff. And then I sang out a Late Show with, Just a Gigolo one time. So who was it really appealing to?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the audience was this kind of Radio 1 Late Show watching kind of at the time.
I guess, sorry, that wasn't a dig. I was just trying to say, because my world is so specifically around comedy, and I know everyone, and it just kind of shocks me when people don't know what I'm so familiar with. But okay,
But
sorry.
what I would like to say, Al is only 31.
Okay,
So, he's
Despite
really,
how I
really
look.
young.
yeah, I know he's young. Yeah.
Do you know,
so
can
Al,
I interrupt for a
yes.
second?
I don't know how to fucking. I don't know how to approach this or broach this subject. I'm, I was a bit nervous. Like, how do we talk about this thing? I don't know.
know, honestly.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm just. Sorry, go on.
No, the first thing I was going to say was how much things have changed. Just on that, what you were saying about your neighbours not knowing you from Adam. I was in Arnott's earlier, and the girl said to me, why are you getting... I was getting like a little bit of concealer for this spot in my face. And she said, oh my God, you're doing a podcast. Congratulations. Congratulations. Whose podcast is it? And she's naming people that I didn't know. She's going, I go to this. I went to see them in the Tree Arena. And they could be somebody that you... have no idea who they are, because everything is so targeted specifically to people on TikTok and Instagram now. If I had said to her, I'm going on the Late Late Show, she probably would have said, oh yeah, my nana's friend was on that.
Yeah.
Like, it's all that traditional media stuff, it's for a much smaller audience now. So everybody finds their own individual...
Which is great. Which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about the elephant in the room? That's no problem.
Well.
Where's the elephant?
Well. Yeah.
Maybe elephant.
No.
Is not there
It's just. I just want to. Go on, Hannah.
No, I'm just saying maybe elephant is there not there anymore. You know, people's attention span nowadays is so short that 5 years is such a long time.
Yeah, or it's even 2024, so it's almost 7 years. By the time I do the panto at Christmas, it'll be 8 years since I was on stage in the panto. But actually, I find because people watch their own specific thing, I talk about it again and again because there is no one thing where you can talk about it and everybody's heard it. You know, so I did Miriam O'Callaghan, I talked about it. I did Mario, I talk about it. You know, I wrote an article that's still on it was in every newspaper. I did the Mail on Sunday, covered 5,000 words. No matter how much you do, you kind of always do have to go into it again for the new audience. So I get that.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
I think people will be interested in like how you kind of, you know, the journey it kind of took you on of you know, bringing you were on such a rise. I remember at the time you were on such a rise, and then for something to bring you down, and then to have the strength to go again.
Well, I suppose for anybody who's now going, what are they actually talking about?
Yeah, right.
I was a comic from about 19, as you remember, to like 24, and then it was a fairly quick rise from doing like, you know, karaoke and Captain America's and Tallaght to doing Vicar Street and being given a radio program. And I mean, that's another topic, but probably opportunities that I should have maybe turned down or didn't deserve. You know, you're being given them because you're flavour of the month.
Yeah.
Like, there's a touch of that.
Silly if you didn't take it.
Yeah, it's almost like, I'm not saying they're very talented, but it's almost like the two Johnnies now where you go, they're doing everything. They're doing a live tour, an album, a radio show. Well, not radio anymore, and the TV. And so I was like that. If anybody's wondering, that's kind of a thing.
Yes.
And then in November 2017, as we remember the cultural touchstone moment of the Me Too movement, I suppose Weinstein in early November or late October, Spacey about 2 weeks after that. And then around November 17th, there was an article about, there were 3 comics and a musician calling me out for poor behaviour. So, you know, I've learned to be careful in the way you talk about it because you're talking about other people. And I've obviously talked to solicitors before who said, you know, you don't want to end up saying things that legally you're putting your foot in it, you know, you're compromising yourself or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that people called me out for poor behaviour, and on reflection, they were right to call me out for poor behaviour. They were right to expect better of me. But at the time, that was not, as Jack might remember, or anybody, my initial reaction. You know, my initial reaction was almost, you know, shock, indignant, you know, kind of, excuse me. I think I released this terrible, it made things much worse. So I was on radio on a Friday. And then
this is 2017.
17. And this article was, say, on a Saturday. And again, if people are going, well, what exactly are we talking about? Because we know all these, like whether it's Louis C.K. masturbating in front of people or whether it's, you know, it was people saying, Al, you know, might grab your ass or grab your crotch trying to be funny, and it's not funny. Most people said, I laughed at the time, but it's not okay. And then this came out on, say, a Saturday. On the Monday, maybe, I released a statement that was, I mean, I have to take responsibility for it because I let it go out. But basically, I sat at home over the weekend writing, this is completely true, maybe a 3 A4 page thing that I thought kind of went into how I was feeling about it and kind of was a bit in depth. And this horrified everybody else who was involved because it wasn't just me. So there were American agents at the time. There was a potential Netflix special, a potential appearance on Conan. There was a radio contract. There are sponsors. There's television.
This is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm
also
even-
you did the Apollo, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, I did the Apollo, Michael McIntyre's big show, but those were all just spots. But in terms of other work, like my production company was the co-producer on a television reboot of Blind Date. So a lot of people were genuinely depending on me for work. And so anyway, you're in this room. I'd love to write a play about it sometime. You could call it The War Room. It kind of reminds me of Dr. Strangelove, where everybody's sitting around deciding whether or not they should drop the bomb. And the horror of, no, you don't say these 3 pages. You don't want to say that. Maybe say this and maybe say... And then, have you ever heard that thing, a camel is a horse that was drawn by committee?
Okay.
That stupid old joke. But basically, we wound up with something I okayed, so my own responsibility, terrible statement that basically said, I'm sorry if anybody is offended and if anybody, but I'm just flamboyant.
Right.
I think, but I'm just a flamboyant. It was in keeping with my flamboyant and outrageous persona.
How old were you at the time?
24 when I was dealing with the newspaper article.
Yeah.
But they were talking about 2012 or 2014, 15. So you're talking about 19 to 21 too, is the time period they're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, I now, the odd time I've gotten texts from people looking for advice when something like this happens in their life and different things. It could be they said something stupid about a particular community and now people don't want them at a show or whatever. And I always say, you're probably not going to say anything sensible about this for about 2 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we're human. And initially, the feeling is of your own personal loss. I had to leave the radio show. Like, I felt I had to leave. There was a conversation where, like a table like this, there was a phone in the middle and they were on conference call. And I wrote on a piece of paper, I quit, and sent it to my manager, who then sent it around to another person, who everybody went, oh, no, and sent it back to me. And then I said, lads, I want to quit. I'm not coming in next week. I can't weather this. This was a phrase that was going around, weather the storm.
Yeah.
I can't weather the storm because I can't even make head nor tail of what's going on.
Right.
Because this sounds completely stupid, but for about 2 months leading up to it, people had been kind of saying in comedy and in radio, I hear there might be something coming down the tracks for an unprofessional radio broadcaster. I probably would have named about 10 people I thought it was before it was me.
Yeah.
And not because I was judging, but because I never thought, who, me? Which is so naive and so stupid and arrogant, and there was a lot of problems there.
But I think, as regards you, Al, I think people, or as regards anyone, I think if they see genuine remorse and or that you have an understanding of the wrongs perpetrated, and that you have gone, and that you're open about it, and which you all did, and you. God, you went through a rough time as well, and you went to therapy, and you told me you were suicidal at one point.
Yeah, I mean, also
I've
heard. I only heard a podcast recently. Sometimes I listen to them to kind of go, if they're going to talk about me, if I find out that they're going to, what are they going to be saying? Because, and this is where it's complicated. Not everything is black or white. I've made a decision to focus on the things that I can agree on and the things that I can change. And, but I don't get into arguments about places of difference or where I differ with people. So, everything that everybody said, are there points of difference? Do we remember certain days or things differently? Yeah, that's true.
As regards...
But what I found, as I wrote in that kind of article that I wrote, there are things that some people said that I thought needed more context, maybe needed the other person's perspective, but not to try and invalidate them, saying, you need to do better, you need to be more professional, you need to be more respectful, you need to... All of that is right. So I think even if I won every little argument that I would like, in your own head to go, well, hold on, this particular line or two from somebody has gained great traction and everybody believes it, and I was there and I have a feeling that it was slightly different than they're saying. There's no point in arguing the toss over that, because if you won every little argument like that, would you still say, look, ultimately they were right, I wasn't up to the job of getting the responsibilities that I was being given and the opportunities, Was I a good person to work with? No. Was I a good friend? No. Me now, 31, would I like to suffer the fool that I was at 21? If I had to gig with that guy, probably not. I'd probably take him aside and go, here, listen, get your shit together. What is going on here? So, but it is complicated where you go, because it's, I know that's very boring, but it's not just a social, ethical, moral thing. It's also, it's your professional life, but it's your personal life. So, I've got my family, my friends, my boyfriend, all that. And also it is a private thing, but it's public because my job is public.
What private thing? What are we talking about now, Al?
What I mean is, when you're talking specifically about a particular people or particular interactions with, just off the back of you saying, I'm conscious of people listening who, may have been affected by different things in their lives. I think the thing is I try not to talk about specific people. I try to keep that private. And, I've written letters to some people, or I've had
I see. Sorry, Al, I've got you.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, you did.
Sorry.
No. It's very easy to fucking lose me, I can tell you that much. But sorry, the 12 steps in Alcoholics Anonymous are incredibly rigorous if you take them on. And just as reference to what you were just saying, if you can make amends and right the wrongs perpetrated against people and make it, because I went to AA every day for a fucking year. Anyway, and where appropriate, you make amends. And I'm just saying that if people see that, and I think they do, and we all do, people are have oceans of empathy. But on the other hand, I can see from your point of view, this is this kind of thing that you're going to have to carry for how long, and you're doing better now. Do we have to? Always?
No, that's okay.
Okay,
no, that's okay. I always just try and make it because I feel like it'll be with me forever.
Yeah,
and that's okay. I've kind of made peace with that because it's a part of my life. It's a time in my life. It's, I don't know, is it a Kanye West lyric? You're not perfect, but you're not your mistakes. Maybe Kanye West isn't somebody that you should be taking advice from. But the point being, I do just try and make the division between, talking about specific people and interactions, and the more kind of global public side of it, which is, well, what action have you put behind the amendment? And do you kind of, on a fundamental level, agree with people? So that's, ultimately I agree with people. If I ended up in a one-on-one conversation with somebody, I might enjoy the opportunity to say, hey, listen, I read what you said. I was also there, and X and Y and B, and talk it out.
Is this why? Is it hard for you to talk about this in specifics because you're still in that sort of legal frame of mind where
you'd always be in that. There will always be kind of the moral, ethical side, the social side, the personal, the professional, and the legal.
Yeah.
So when I think back on your at that time, you were on such a big rise, and I was reading a few articles where you say that maybe you were kind of got a bit cocky, maybe, or something, and you were drinking a lot at the time. Do you think like maybe that experience kind of had to happen to you in a way? Do you feel like it was like a, something that taught you a lesson that maybe nothing else could, in a way?
But also you were so
wait.
young.
Let him.
Yeah, my thought on that would be that when there's an experience like that in your life, it was a bit of eventually an ego death. Right. And obviously in hindsight, so that I can get on with my life and do better things and be I have to find the ways that I can turn it into something productive for myself. But I do draw the line at saying, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, or I needed that to happen. Mainly for the fact that other people had to suffer the the fucking Aegis. Other people had to be around the arsehole. And so you can't really go, well, isn't it great that all that fell apart because it has been the catalyst for personal growth and change? And then there's somebody sitting at home going, oh, I'm delighted for you. I met you in 2014 and you're a complete dickhead to me, but I'm so glad it was your catalyst for personal growth. So I draw the line at that. I read everything about myself. I mean, everything from when you boil down what was specific and who came to me, or at least came to a newspaper as opposed to me with a specific complaint that they wanted to talk about, that might have been 4 or 5 people. But then online it was, and also my friend who's a taxi driver said that on the way home Al offered him a blowjob to bring him to town, and which is probably true. And then another person saying, and a friend of mine said that, and then it got outrageous. So then I was on heroin. I mean, that I remember that I was a member of the IRA. I was, like these things. And so that is the downside of the blanket one size fits all apology,
gotcha.
where you go, mea culpa, hands up, I am who you say I am, because you could be, you're supposed to be you could be anything then.
Yeah.
So you have to focus on the specific, and that's what I've tried to do.
What do you think, Nana?
Yeah, no, what was the most shocking thing you read about yourself, and what was the most hurtful?
I don't know about the most shocking. The most hurtful, but I'm not hurt over it anymore because I think you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And I had this conversation with a friend recently, just as an aside, and he was saying, a friend of mine was moaning about you doing Vicar Street on his Instagram. You should have a word with him. And I said, look, at this point, I consider that a consequence of earlier stupidity, a consequence of earlier poor behavior. And I just go, okay, that's my lot. I have to deal with that. Might be 7 years later. I can't piss and moan. When's everybody going to get over? Doesn't matter. Not my place to say.
Al, I like, so you're talking about this kind of like flamboyant character, and I guess that is kind of
stupid thing to say.
No,
at the time it was.
I'm just because you talk a lot in your comedy about growing up gay, where you grew up. Me and Hannah were watching where your granny let you wear a white suit.
Yeah.
but I'm just thinking like, because in your environment where you were growing up as a gay man, it couldn't have been easy, and being like very flamboyant, was that almost like a defense?
Oh yeah,
well, really good. I mean, that's the thing I love about your. You still do it to an extent, but maybe not as much as you used to. That theatrical camp, which has a serious history in theatre.
Yeah,
I mean, going way back, and that was like a defense mechanism, I guess. It was sort of a side effect of homophobia. Like, I mean, so you could just, I'm just playing a character.
Yeah.
But sorry, but when I saw you, I mean, you were so, you still are a brilliant comedian, but when I first saw you, I mean, you remember that 50th roast that Al did when I was 50?
Oh yeah, the Woolshed.
But Al really worked very hard. He had really well written jokes and so on, and I love that you do well, because you come from that tradition of panto as well. When did you start doing panto?
When I was 13.
Right. You see,
are your parents into panto, or
no?
Did they introduce you? What kind of family?
No, I mean, my dad was a flight sergeant in the Air Corps, so they're both from Ballyfermot. My dad joined the army when he was about 15. Paid for other brothers and sisters to do some education stuff, and my mum is a parish secretary, which is a job, as she always reminds me that it's a job as opposed to like, it's not some holy Joe voluntary cause. It's a job where you work in the church.
Yeah.
But nobody was, there were theatrical members of the family. I mean, my nana was outrageous as a personality, and maybe somebody who had their own problems. I mean, you could probably diagnose her these days with sort of borderline personality disorder, or, there were a lot of abandonment issues and histrionics and, it was a very unpredictable environment. And she was theatrical. She liked to be glamorous, and she liked to have big earrings and colourful clothes, and she liked to sing in the choir and be the loudest. And whereas my mum and dad are kind of, they're quite... When my dad gets a pint into him, he's like any other dad. Oh, I have a joke for you. I have a joke. But otherwise not in theatre, not in the business.
But it was acceptable to. It was kind of one of the only places in society where you could kind of be obviously homosexual, but the public was kind of pretending, oh, it's just a very extravagant character.
Yeah.
But it was quite clear that was what was funny as well.
Yeah, and that's who we enjoyed in my house. When we watched television in a room like this and my mum was ironing, it was like Lily Savage was on TV.
Yeah.
Or even Matthew Kelly on,
Yes.
and everybody was a little bit camp.
Jack Benny was quite camp as well. And some very, where he'd just be standing on stage.
Yeah.
But it's so electrifying when I saw you first. And then... you did some great sketches on the Savage Eye. We're going back 2010, 2011.
I loved that, and how that came about. I got a phone call to say on the day, McSavage needs a gay actor. He had doesn't like it, and then they warned me. It's fine. A good comic, a great comic in their own right, but the agent.
Oh yeah, I know.
Warned me. She said, if he in any way upsets you, you just leave. You just leave, and you don't have to take that. And I arrived, and he said, "What's up, faggot? Is this faggot I'm having?" And I really enjoyed that. And can I just tie that?
No, I'm not. You can't put that out.
Yes,
you can.
You fucking can't.
It's okay because you knew.
Yeah, but I knew you.
You knew me.
Yeah.
You knew I would accept that.
I'll just go like when.
Oh yeah, but Jack, to tie in with what you were saying, like that kind of my interest in that camp, send yourself up, carry on humor, probably was almost. It wasn't almost natural. It was like, as you say, a defense. Until I was about 12, I was the same as every other lad in the school. Okay, I was a bit of a swat, and I'd stand up and read a poem, bit of a good boy. But I was virtually the same. We all played football. We all played kick the can. I wasn't weird or other. And then, 13, 14, the other lads' voices get a little bit deeper, and they all start to realise that they're talking about girls, and the distance between us was getting bigger and bigger, and I'm still kind of, will I read a poem by Maya Angelou? And
but there was no question in your. Oh well, I suppose. Well, of course there was a question in your mind.
Yeah, and.
But I just want to go back to I just want to go back to that agency that you were talking about. We won't name them, right?
Yeah.
But they are so defective, and they're so. I mean, I never did anything bad to them, and they're just bullies, and they Oh,
well,
God.
I don't know.
Well,
I think they were trying to be protective of me.
No,
and they were good for me when I was younger.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah,
and I look back on stupid arguments I had with them. It was stupid.
I was good for you when you were younger, mate.
I know.
So they weren't good for you. I gave you the fucking part.
Yeah.
Fuck them. What did they do? They didn't write anything. Just sit there and fucking answer phones and spread fucking gossip because I didn't play the game. Oh, they're such a miserable shower of bastards.
Okay, you got your revenge.
No, you know what I mean? I know who you're talking about. Wankers. Fucking wankers. I mean, there was I trying to support my family, my two young kids, and these fucking guys. What, Hannah?
Stop
these fucking guys.
That's enough. We know that.
I found them.
Oh yeah, and if he makes you, if he makes you,
Des Bishop now.
No, Des is a good bloke. Des is a very, very fucking good bloke, and he's a great comedian. And there's just there's rivalry in my part. There's none on his. He's very sound. Okay, I love Des. I'm just saying. I don't know what I'm fucking saying. Oh yeah. Anyway,
but on what Jack was saying, but genuinely, I'm really labouring this point. But the thing is that I did see other people. There were a couple of lads that were definitely like me and gay and a bit kind of effeminate in the school. And it's a community secondary school in Tala beside Fettercairn and Killinarden, and it wasn't an easy place to be that different. And well, boo-hoo, and that's fine. I don't. But the thing is I saw people wither into themselves and become very quiet, who maybe eventually came out of their shell. I was defensive in the other way, where I thought, well, I'm going to say it before you say it to me.
Right, so nobody's going to beat the shit out of you if you're all camp.
And it was all that. And it really was a learned behaviour from 14 on of, you know, the lads are coming down and I know this guy is the hardest lad in the school and I'm going, hi, Anto, great night the other night. And he's so embarrassed and everybody is laughing.
But, you know, that's how you got your respect in school, isn't it, in a way? Like, you know, because you had to kind of make yourself super camp, super gay to kind of say, you know, whatever.
That's why everyone thought you were gay, Jack. No,
but you know, that's so. Then when you go on to your adult life, it happens with you know, straight guys as well. You're in school and you have to be a certain way, like to show, like, you know, nothing phases you. You call people names and people call you names. There's nothing. So then when you go on into your adult life, you know, you carry these things like, oh, that's how I get respect, and then.
Well, you know, if you're immature, you don't abandon them at the appropriate stage in your life, you know. And I kind of look back and go, there was some sort of arrested development going on when I was 19, 20, 21, where I think, you know, I don't know why, but, you know, I hadn't, maybe because I never worked a real job, so I was never part of an office or a group community working, or maybe because I dropped out of college and I didn't have any friends my own age. But I feel like I held on to ways of being that were juvenile, and it was the time for that in your life was over, you know. And so nobody was expecting that when you are. So on the one hand, you're meant to be the youngest comic selling out Vicar Street. You're meant to be this, you know, prodigious talent, you know, and then on the other hand, you're arriving like you're a 16-year-old in the Gaeltacht.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how you're acting with people.
Well,
there was a big chasm between those.
I think it was quite a difficult position because I could kind of relate in a way, because when I first started working in the kitchen, I was like young and, you know, skitty, whatever, and almost like the gay kid in school, you know, when you're in the kitchen, because you got the big lads or whatever, so you kind of have to put on a facade of like being tough and being whatever, and, you know, in the kitchen you can say whatever you want, and there's no HR in kitchens or anything like that. Maybe now, but the ones I was working in. But then when you go into other work environments, you're like, okay, that's, you actually not meant to talk to people like that. you know, and you realize, like, okay,
and I just want to say, right, that agency that you were talking about, right? Right, you know, they ran Kilkenny Cat Laughs, and they kicked me out of that Kilkenny Cat Laughs, you know, and then a lot of comedians dropped me because, you know, they didn't want to be associated with me, and they tried to ostracize me. They thought they controlled the comedy community, and they fucking didn't, because I'm a street performer. I could go out and make my own living. Fuck you, fuck them. Oh, Al, you know, when you're on the set, I mean, just be very careful now if you're not safe. I fucking love Al, you fuckers.
No.
You know, I recognize Al. I recognize everyone immediately before those people. Those people aren't proactive. They just surf on the coattails of someone if they get fame. Fucking assholes. Fuck you. Okay. Sorry.
We're not cutting this out.
Tala is a great just to say, Tala is a great place. It was a great school and a great place, but it was tough, and it was different 15, 20 years ago or whatever. I mean, I was mugged. I was mugged twice. And one of the times was particularly embarrassing because I was going to meet somebody, you know, who I thought there was an arrangement to meet them in a GAA pitch in the dark of night. Don't tell anybody because, you know, we're all meant to be straight, so that we were going to go and kiss and do whatever in this GAA pitch. And then actually I arrived and it was just a guy in a hood and mugged me. Took my phone, took my wallet, bet me up, and then I had to go home and pretend to my parents that it hadn't happened and that I had lost my phone because of the embarrassment and the mortification of letting them know, why were you in a GAA pitch at 12 at night anyway? And so I think what Dave was saying earlier was that he's conscious that he doesn't want to be the podcast where, if I can put words in your mouth, doesn't want to be the podcast where he's celebrating the comeback of the changed man, because there are people out there who rightly might say, I don't want to forgive him, I don't like him, I met him years ago. And I totally agree with you. And in fact, that is why I even reserve a kind of 5-minute part of all of my shows. I mean, anybody who's come to any of my shows in the last year and a half will tell you, I bring it up and I say to the audience, this is not an F the Begrudgers show. Don't leave here thinking the poor fella, he was very wronged. I want you to leave here with, if there's any message at all, it's that if you come to the realization that people were right, that you should have done better, that you can do better.
But I'm just talking about in general in life. And if you want to get serious here, I would say sometimes you do get into confrontations. I'm saying this to men and women, and really sometimes. I'm not talking about the sexually violation and all that stuff. Just talking about if somebody is wrongfully, being in your face or accusing you or something. It's really, if you can, find strength to stand up to people sometimes, because a lot of things in my life, where I should have said this, could have said this, would have said this, and it does eat at you. So it's really important to stand up for yourself if you can, and really find your fucking strength and courage, because but again, it's difficult. I mean, a lot of times I'm afraid, I'm fearful, but it is good when you can, to I mean, sometimes I make fun of it in my show, and I say sometimes just for no reason, just tell someone to fuck off. Just walk down the street, fuck you, just to give yourself a sense of your own power or something. But that's not the right advice. But I don't know, just like, grab yourself by the balls sometimes, and or your ovaries, and just say, no, fuck off. Just do it. As opposed to just letting it eat away at you, I should have done this, because there's lots of times in my life where I should have said something, and lots of times I did.
You shouldn't have said something.
I shouldn't have said something, right, but and you replay it again and 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 again in your quiet moments. I should have said this, should have said that, should have told that guy, to fuck off. And there's still a few people that I think, if I ever see that fucker, I'm going to go right up his face, and just don't be afraid to get a punch or a slap or something. Sometimes, you know what I mean. One time, you remember that guy in Denmark, the guy who was a transvestite and a poet, the Irish guy. I can't remember his name. But one time I saw him, and he was starting a fight or something, or somebody started a fight with him, and he was being all, whatever, and some guy punched him, and we were all walking away. But he tried to, Rory was his name. He tried to pretend that it hadn't happened. So he was like this. Oh, well, anyway. And then your man goes like that, and he goes, but listen, come here. La, 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 la. And it was just so funny and terrible at the same time. Like where he was trying to, you've just been punched. The conversation's over. Get out.
Have you ever been punched?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. I've punched in Glasgow.
In Glasgow?
Yeah.
I have been punched, headbutted. Oh, well, when I was very young. But no, I've been punched and all that. And it's not the worst. No, the problem is fucking knives and things. You're just worried about nowadays, like, people carry weapons, for Christ's sake. I mean, if it was only a fist fight, it's pretty horrible. Yeah. But then you're fearful that people are just so horrible. Like, if you do fall to the ground, they'll start kicking your head in or something,
Yeah.
Like, and that's the other thing. If you do punch somebody, or if you do get into a fight, and if they give up, just that's it then. Shake hands and move on. You ne'er-do-wells. I'll tell you something. If you get into a rough and tumble with a scallywag, just a few duffs here and there, and just back off and shake hands and have a cup of Ovaltine in Tala.
Not everybody is prepared for the fight. Some people are much more gentle.
That's why I'm going to the gym.
Did you try to convince me to do some form of martial arts years ago?
Maybe, I
think
remember.
You said it to me. I think it was like the 5th time I'd been mugged. See, I was an easy target because I was such a big drinker. I mean, I thought I was walking a straight line, but I was obviously, in a pink suit, swaying around Georgia Street.
Oh, God,
this is too easy.
I remember hanging around with you 2014, and I was on. I had a slip.
Yes.
As they say in Alcoholics Anonymous. Before that, I hadn't drank since 2003 for about 8 months. No money whatsoever. Post Savage Eye, the little fart bubble of a career. It was just diminishing day by day. And hanging around with you in the workman's, trying to get you to buy me drink.
And probably he was buying you.
I
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Listen,
But
David,
You didn't have to try very hard.
No, but you could
With
see Al.
alcoholics-
You could
with
see Al
alcoholics.
just looking at me and just you're going like Al thinking, "Fucking hell, this guy." Sorry, go on. Yeah, with alcoholics, you have no shame.
Alcoholics have no shame, and they always find out a way to get money. You know, to get drinks. You know,
That's
that's
why.
so
That's why we're
inventive.
not together.
But I mean, talk about low points for me, like just there in fucking in what's that place? Workman's Club.
Yeah.
I know, and
Jesus,
you know this.
Workman's Club. This is full of like.
It used to be different than it's now.
Yeah, yeah.
It used to be more hip and, you know, like a bit.
And desperate to
older
get
people.
drink, like vodka and coke. But
I was living on North Great George's Street. I mean, it makes me sound 100 years old when I say this because the property thing in Ireland wasn't like it is now. So I was renting a 1-bed apartment when I was 20 on North Great George's Street for €950, which just sounds like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I turned out the oil lamp and we arrived by horse and cart. It's
and were
a
you just
different world.
riding lots of lads all the time?
Well, one time there were a lot of, because I had the app, the Grinder app, you know, and which is ridiculous. I mean,
Go
I
on.
do a stupid joke about it where because the Chinese government bought it at one point, and I was saying, you know, you look for a 69, you get chicken chow mein fried rice. It was a stupid joke, right? But but people would come over very casually. You know, in the gay community, come over really casually.
Is that true with the gay community?
With some
it's more
gay people, maybe.
right.
What?
Yeah, because
What?
Tinder or whatever isn't an immediate hookup situation. Sure, it's not.
No, I mean,
Whereas Grindr is kind of often, hey, I'm around. You know, you're attracted to people based on their proximity. Hi, I see you're only 300 meters away. Sounds good to me. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then they knock in. And my landlady was a woman called Desiree Short, who is still alive. Lovely woman. She's in her 90s, but she was a China restorer, and a philosophy lecturer from Trinity, lived in the apartment underneath. I lived in Shane McGowan's old apartment, and we were right across the road from Senator David Norris, who had just had a failed presidential campaign and was suing me for defamation at the time.
That's right.
So it was a weird time in my life. And we've since made up. He had me in his house when everything was falling apart, and
Okay.
yeah, and he was going, you know, Alan, you know, you've got to pick yourself up now and put the pieces back together. And,
I sat with him-
Show people who you can be.
I
Alan.
sat with him in a cafe around North George
Cobalt
Street.
Cafe,
Yeah, that's
Eddie's
right.
place, yeah.
God. Anyway, but I mean, he was talking as loudly as you can imagine, and the only, like, normally I would have been freaked out, but it annoyed people so much that I was enjoying it. Like, and he just didn't care who listened, and he was just talking.
Yeah.
But he's got an amazing Georgian house, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
And they bought those.
Is
I
it,
mean,
is it decked out? Oh, they bought those in the 80s.
when they were dilapidated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they got grants and they bought these when it was really, really run down. I mean,
dilapidated like your boyfriend's anus. Come on, I can cut that out. I don't know why.
I mean, keep it in. That's why it's dilapidated. Keep it in. No, sorry.
Hey, listen.
I used to bleach my arse. I used to call it changing my ringtone. Can I get one of the? No, beep, beep, beep. Hey, all right.
You want to get a ba-dum-dum. That's such a good one. Is that your one?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's good, man. You see, you know what I mean? You see, that's, to me, it's just you throw up the ball.
It's stupid.
It's so silly, but it's lovely. And then the little flick or the
Hello.
hello. It's too funny. It kills me. Yes, so you brought back these guys on Tinder. Now, the public want to
Grindr.
know.
And a community guard knocked in and asked me, was I selling sex? Sorry, that was the end of the story.
Oh, sorry.
No, but that is the end of the story. It's just that a community guard had to knock in and say the neighbours thought there were so many
Oh, I see.
men coming and going.
Okay.
Are you working the room? Which is so
And
Moulin
what
Rouge.
is? And I think the public want to know about tops and bottoms in the gay community.
Yes.
What is this all about? And why would somebody have a preference? Do you know what a top
a
and
preference.
bottom
No.
is? Okay, do you not know?
No, I don't.
What if there's two bottoms?
That happens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you draw the sticks.
You just clang. You just kind of reverse into each other.
I don't know. I'm just thinking of like
You have to get one of those double-ended things,
when
and
you
then
put magnets together and they're like the same size, and they just
they repel.
They repel.
Well, I think a lot of relationships maybe naturally fold into the top or bottom thing. It's also probably more of a myth that it is the most kind of common gay sex, because for a lot of gay men, it's a hassle. You know,
Yeah.
it's a hassle. It's not for the top. You
Because-
can eat
because-
whatever you want. But for the
Right.
bottom,
You
who's
have
having
to-
salad and ice for dinner, and
You have to douche.
know,
you have
yeah.
to clean your. You have to clean your rabbit hutch.
Yeah. This,
You have to
this
clean
girl
your.
was here.
You have to clean your laneway
Yeah,
for
she
the
said it was
visiting.
quite
your
cumbersome.
side of the street.
You have to keep your side of. You have to keep your side of the street clean for the postman who makes a delivery
So I've
of sausages.
Okay.
Sorry,
So I have the
yeah.
question. So what's the most common sex in gay communities? A
And-
blowjob?
Well, yeah, now they call it side, which
Why
I
is
never
that
heard that, but
side?
side stuff, which is, that's all the things that aren't penetrative sex.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it's such a wide spectrum, isn't it?
That's Pat Kenny's favorite word. Penetrative. Penetrative.
I was watching you on Pat the other night. I just saw it. It was you talking to Pat about Pat Kenny does have a penis.
Oh yeah, that was a
Oh
good
my
one.
God, that
Yeah.
was great.
I sold 2 nights out of on Vicar Street on the basis of that.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
You could
And
do
it's been-
another tour. Pat Kenny still has a penis.
Yeah, Pat Kenny still has a penis. But yes, no, that's great.
That's a brilliant title.
Still has a penis.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You had a poster that was by Graham Nuttall once.
there it is. There.
Yeah, and I was talking to Graham for all of the time that I was away from working, believe it or not, on Facebook, and he was really, really nice and really.
Isn't he dead now?
Yeah, he died. He was going to do a poster for my comeback gig, and then he died,
He
which
just
I can't
died.
really begrudge him.
What an
but-
awful thing to do, isn't
I know.
it?
How dare he?
you.
But he was really nice. He loved you, and he was an interesting.
He had some pad there opposite.
Yeah,
I
Oh.
never
You.
went. Yeah, he was too sick.
Well, no,
Yeah.
we knew him
It
early
was
on.
South George's.
No, it was opposite Reynard's.
Reynolds, yeah, but there's also Georgian House.
Yes.
Really beautiful.
He was very wealthy, and a lot of his family were copying his style and trying to make money off his name.
In the 80s when he was doing portraits of Sinatra and, Muhammad Ali and things like this, in Ireland, that was the thing we often spoke about. He was looked upon as, cheesy, crass, it's no good, because it was maybe popular and selling really well. And, we do sometimes have that attitude in Ireland of, like, people in Ireland say Bono's an asshole, but then Christy Dignam and Aslan, they loved him, And I've heard people say, and I love both, but I've heard people say stuff like, I have a friend of mine's a singer. He was singing in the pub locally, I won't name the pub, every Saturday, and then this started to really draw a crowd where you went, there are 200 people here who are specifically here to see him, and it's Saturday after Saturday, and he's killing it, and he's a wonderful singer. And so he says, I'm booking the Academy in town. He booked the Academy, and every time we said to somebody, are you going to go see Kevin in the Academy? Jays, I wouldn't listen to him there.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So they'd listen to him in the local pub, but I wouldn't listen to him in the Academy.
But actually, speaking of our mate Des Bishop, I don't think he fully understood that it doesn't matter how good you are in Ireland, whether you're Bono, there'll always be people, you fucking wanker, down like cunt. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. And that transposes into online messages. There are people who will set up accounts specifically to let you know that you're a pile of shit,
Yeah.
you're whatever. But actually, speaking of even Reynard's, like it was a microcosm, I thought, of Irish society. You'd have a group of people over there, and so there'd be a group of people sitting over there, a group of people. And so that group would be looking at that group thinking fucking wankers, and that group would be looking at that group thinking wankers. So you have a bunch of wankers thinking wankers you know what I mean? That's kind of Ireland. We have our little cliques or little groups, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you achieve. In fact, success is is quite offensive to a lot of Irish people, and that's why a lot of guys who own these, property landlords, they sort of dress down, they kind of cover their, how you doing? I'm struggling. So everybody's struggling, but meanwhile they own about 25 fucking houses.
Isn't that the saying? Oh, you'd never guess he owns 3 houses.
Yeah,
isn't that a thing? You see someone in.
I think it should. It's bad though if we don't want it, because it is good to achieve and have goals and create fucking wealth.
And there are people who are popular who are really, really deserve it. I'm not in that camp who go, the best people are probably kind of unheard of or aren't getting their deserved
that's great,
success.
and that was the great thing about Joanne McNally and her huge meteoric sort of rise, and the amount of people that think they're so much better than her, and that you're not.
No,
you're
she's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Have you seen her?
Yeah. I haven't gone to a show.
You're not better. You're not cooler. You're not meta. In fact, you're a carbon copy of a lot of other comedians, and she actually has her own style. And I saw her 2 years ago or something. She fucking killed me.
I think I was so insecure. It's a pity. It's a pity I missed out on having more friends in comedy the first time round, and enjoying, the drink was a big part of that as well. And, because everything is just about the next pint. So I'm not really listening to you because I'm en route to shit-faced and blackout. So who you are or what you're saying doesn't really matter so long as you're willing to be here until 4 or 5 a.m. when I'm shit-faced blackout. So, but also the competitive element when I was younger, because there were a lot of people in my ear, and I was in my own head telling myself, the world is your, is your oyster. You're going to do Madison Square Garden. You're going to do America. And people were propping this up and saying it. That actually, I didn't stop the competitive thing and appreciate what the other comics were doing and get on with them. I prefer that now. Now I see Chris Kent or Joanne McNally or, Emma Doran or, different people, what they're doing.
David McSavage.
Enya Martin, David McSavage,
what?
Tommy Red.
You should be already up there.
Yeah, but you're old as well.
But I'm delighted. I actually don't, I don't find myself longing for for what they have and go, oh, why don't I have that? And mainly because of the crashing reality of going, well, Al, I'm on a different trajectory now. I don't know if I'll ever get an A+ returned on my career.
Oh,
now.
I was riddled.
C+ might be my best option, and it kind of grounds you and makes you go, well, why are you doing it? Like, that was a big thing before coming back. Why come back?
Oh, well, it's funny you should.
Why?
It's funny you should say that, Al Border. This is my radio voice. Because
I went a bit high pitched. Did you see my frequency go up?
I have to say,
that was a bit
screaming into the fucking microphone.
No,
like I'm
that
deaf.
all did escalate very kind of in ascending, and now I'm
It's good. A bit of passion,
it's just
I know.
Calm
but
the fuck down.
I am aware
don't
of
calm
that.
down. Don't calm down.
I am aware. Everybody has said to me my whole life, you're too loud. Tone it down a little bit.
Fuck them.
I am aware of it.
But listen,
fuck those people saying you're too loud and everything. I mean, that's your whole business.
That's right.
But it's also my business to appeal to people. People don't want to come to a comedy gig and go, "Geez, is your man going to shout at me for an hour and a half?"
Jack's dead right. You shouldn't change anything. You're fantastic as you are. And do that. And you need to keep it, because people have complained to me that
Tommy Tiernan, the minute he starts shouting, people love it.
Yes. I came down from the mountain and I did something and then I whispered and all that, and people, Jesus, that's amazing.
They don't fall asleep.
But you did, Tommy.
Yeah.
Just as a little detour, and I thought it was great. And do you think he knows who the guests are? Genuinely, because I know you were joking on the show.
I couldn't give a two-penny fuck either.
I don't think he does.
No, but you don't think he does?
No.
But it's like I don't know. I think it's a gimmick, and it makes the show more about Tommy than the guests. I don't know, but it's fine.
When they did the radio pilot of it in the Sugar Club, I was the first guest.
Oh
yeah. I mean, I said that to Tommy.
But listen, you keep your shit together. Keep on doing the next right thing, like they say in Alcoholics Anonymous. And whatever you want for yourself, you will get, because you are. We've talked about all that stuff, right? And but right now, just let's talk about it.
Yeah.
In that small thing, you're so talented, you're so gifted, you're so enjoyable to watch. That I have, like, if that's what you want for yourself and you keep on working, you will get to where you want to go. Maybe the trajectory will be slower this time, but it'll be more long lasting. And you're such a good. I mean, it kills me, but you're to give you compliments. Anyway. It's very awkward.
I get uncomfortable about them.
I know, but you'll be
clam up there with nails.
No, but you'd be fantastic at whatever you wanted to do, radio, television, whatever the fuck. Don't you agree, Jack and Daniel?
Of course.
But in your stand-up, you talk about what you experienced, don't you?
Yes, yeah, or what the experience was about more than anything. I mean, I do go into. I thought anything that's going to be funny needs to be, I need to be sort of the pathetic butt of the joke.
Yeah.
And so I do have a lot in the show about people trying to be kind to you. And there are people who will try and be compassionate to somebody who they think has fucked up or put themselves at rock bottom, and they try, but how often these things make you feel worse. So I have a story about a neighbor gifting me their IVF angel, this little angel pin that they said they prayed to when they did IVF, and they gave it to me in about 2019, and it was really low time in my life. And they said, we think you should pray to this now, Al, And as I walked away, I tell people in the show, I cried because it was nice, and also because I couldn't believe this was my life.
Right.
I was going 3 years ago, I'm having cocktails with Graham Norton, and now Kevin and Annette from down the road are gifting me their IVF angel. And then I went into my mother and said to her, Kevin and Annette gave me this angel. And straight away she said, oh, they're lovely. It's a pity they never had any children. And I just love that. Okay. So I try and focus on where I'm pathetic. And then also there are jokes about being sober, getting sober, there's a wide range of...
And also, can I just say as well, performers and comedians, we're fucking mental. We're not normal people. We're desperate for attention, narcissists or whatever the fuck. And in terms of you, like, it's still there, but I remember you early on, and Joanne McNally had that look as well in her eyes. It was kind of uncomfortable early on because Joanne... it was like fame, or what she wanted to achieve was like a little baby reindeer, and she wanted to devour it so much. And so you'd be talking to her, but she'd be just kind of like her eyes were almost, and that's the feeling I got from you, like you were really desperate, pathologically desperate to achieve the fucking, the fame and all that kind of thing, and like breathlessly so. And I mean, with me, for attention, I'm, I see it in young kids. I can tell, that he's going to have trouble when he grows up. He's going to be an alcoholic. What?
Huh? Yeah, probably.
And I don't think I was always, for all the great things that I got to do, I remember so few of them. So I kind of remember meeting Billy Connolly. I kind of remember Graham Norton. I kind of remember gigging with Eddie Izzard. But, for all these, they are not vivid, visceral memories where I say I was present and I remember it and it was good. Everything was about, and the anticipation of the next thing.
Yeah. So where is this going to get me?
Yeah. So you do a Vicar Street, but that's rather than going, isn't this wonderful? You go, well, this is nothing compared to the 10 I'm going to do next year, and then you do 10 Vicar Streets. But this is nothing compared to But
that's okay as well, Al. It's okay to go through that. I mean, and comedy is fucking competitive. It is competitive,
what
Hannah.
He's saying now, he matured, and he, it's like living. Let's say in a,
has he though? Has he?
I don't know, but what you say?
He still looks like a bulgy-eyed bastard to me.
I can't help it. I need glasses or something to distract from the,
what are you looking at?
But even as a kid, I was like that as a kid. Honestly, I should have been assessed. I mean, I'm looking into adult assessment.
Yeah.
Maybe you're lucky you weren't, because maybe they would temper you and change you, and you wouldn't come out as you are now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, I really did think that I was, acutely aware going back to stand up that some people wouldn't want me to do that, and that, it mightn't be successful or popular or whatever. And so I had to kind of go, well, why am I doing it? So the reason, ultimately, I finally came to the feeling of I do it because for me, it's the thing that makes me come alive. It's the thing that fascinates me. So,
it's an odd thing. It's an odd thing.
It.
It's an odd thing to do during COVID. I think most comedians, we didn't do it for months and months and months. And then when you go back on stage, it's a very odd thing.
Yeah.
When you're doing it all the time, you don't think about it. You're just like a shark.
Yeah.
You're just swimming, and then you haven't done it for ages. And then just these people with expectation, kind of going, looking at you, and it's kind of ferocious, and you're looking at them going, fuck it. The pressure, it's a very odd way when you're not used to it. You have to be so super jazzy and comfortable and relaxed and have all your stuff ready, and and I think you can only get to that point when you're just doing it a lot.
Yes.
Although I've been taking a break for about 2 weeks.
But if you love it, as you do. Yeah. Then the success, doesn't have to come. I feel now anymore. I've been able to kind of abandon that a bit. I still get upset. I still get the moment where I get upset. Something I expected to be easy or manageable, like a certain room somewhere that I booked, turns out to be difficult to get people into or whatever. And then I get all the uneasy feelings come back. All the, oh my God, are you wasting your time? Why are you doing this? You're losing money by going to play to the 30 people that are going.
Yeah. I know that.
And this is all your own fault.
I played that gig as well, that one you were talking about.
Yeah. I get all those feelings, but it's just that I don't have to always sit with them for too long, and I don't have to drink them away or anything. And then I find I am motivated by just a more clear purpose now of going, I think for the people who like it, not everybody likes my style of comedy, but for the ones who like it, I think I bring them joy. I'm harmlessly bringing them joy, but also then that brings me joy, and that's the contract we have, and that's the arrangement.
I just want to say, I don't want to say that joke, but I thought it was really good and really brave, because you were talking about your dad giving you compliments, and you said, "Oh, that happens very rarely," but then you walk away, and your dad says, apparently he's giving blowjobs around. Yeah. And how do you finish?
He doesn't get it from me, and he certainly doesn't get it from his mother.
And I thought it was so, so forward. It's so funny.
Yeah, I'm glad. Well, I'm glad.
That's fun.
It made me laugh. Yeah, it was really good.
There you go now. Look at that.
Thank you. I like comedy more now. Do you find you're more into stand-up?
Oh, well, look, I'll tell you what. I'm very grateful that I can make a fucking living. And it's such a joy to know that you can go around these places and almost sell out most of the places. And that's what you're doing. So you're in, most people can't, excuse me, I'm dribbling because I'm dribbling.
It's all right,
most
old.
people can't do that.
He's old.
So most people can't sell venues. Most comedians can't. So you're in a good place. You're nowhere near to where you were when you were coming up.
Yeah.
But
I just want to move out of my parents' house. I don't know. Are you renting somewhere, or where do you live? Do you live in this podcast studio when Dave goes to London?
Daniel has his new gaff, and Jack lives in between.
I'm in the same boat as you.
But the thing is, from headlines and from people talking about you, and rumors and Chinese whispers, and then some things that are real and some things that are exaggerations, a kind of Frankenstein's monster doppelganger of yourself can be created, and it misses out on some of the colour and the nuance and the context from the past. At the end of the day, and I have the confidence to say this now, I was a fuck up. I let people down, and I am trying to put action behind atoning for that and amending for that, and that will go on for a long time in my life and is making me a better person, and I think people can try again. Also, it's true that lots of people had fun with me. Lots of people had a great time in my company. And there are lots of people who... There's the odd person who I've said to, hey, can I take you aside? You know, at a gig recently, and a couple of months ago at a festival. Hey, X, I just want to apologize. I feel like every time we gigged together years ago, I never said anything good about your comedy. It was always about how good looking you were, and would do you want to come back to the hotel room? And no respect for you and he said, "Oh my God, I never would have expected no. I did. You never bothered me. You never offended me." So people are different, and there are different nuances.
That's the weird thing about entertainment and comedy is like I get what people are saying that it's like in the workplace you're a professional, but if you work in an office, part of your job isn't going on stage and saying dick jokes or whatever, So like from my experience working in London in the Top Secret, like comedians they come off stage. And they're still the comedian.
Yeah.
It's very hard for comedians to...
Well, David's 24/7.
Yeah. But as in that kind of, people meet the comedian and they expect them to be the comedian at all times at 24/7. So this character that you are is kind of expected all the time as well.
Well, I don't feel that expectation, but I know exactly what you mean anymore. But I did when I was young. Absolutely. And also I didn't socially know where I was going with things. I didn't know who I was outside of this kind of put the suit on and do the you misses and try and, so there's all that.
Sorry, what I meant to say is like comedians kind of come off stage and they're still trying to make people laugh. They're still trying to be the comedian off stage, the entertainer.
But they're still on the wave.
Yeah,
they're still surfing.
Like when we'd be standing around talking in the Top Secret with one comedian, but some comedians almost like if a non-comedian is telling a joke, they won't laugh or whatever. There's a kind of gatekeeping, and then if the other comedians made a joke, but everyone knows it's not that funny, but he's going, There's all that kind of stuff.
The worst is when comedians start trying out jokes to you. Fucking hell. It's like, mate, fuck off. How long have we been broadcasting, Daniel?
1 hour and 26.
Feels longer. That's my standard regular joke.
Really? Do you know what's a good thing about being a comic? Is we are sole traders, or we're self-employed. I do often think about people who are just and I don't mean that to minimize what they do, but whose singular thing is, I'm a radio presenter, or I am a television presenter, or very difficult if you fall out of favor or fall out of popularity when your work depends on a production company to come and take you on, and for a television station or radio station to want to have you. If I wasn't a stand-up comic, I don't think I would have been able to go back to the work that I like, because ultimately people can choose whether they do or don't want to come and see me, and they can choose if they do or don't want to work with me. And also, it's not like being invited back into an office. You know what I mean?
But also, it's a live situation. It's kind of old-fashioned in a way, stand-up, because it's not broadcast. It's just a specific local one. I was going to say autism. It's acoustic. It's not electrified. I mean, it's just you have to go to a place. It's old-fashioned, and you sit down. It's a live experience. It's actually quite. It's actually like talking about it now. Yeah, a room full of people, and there's an excitement, and all that experience it's impossible to transpose onto a screen.
Yeah, I thought that was a good line in your what you call that, a blurb for Leicester Square Theatre. Whoever wrote that about you, or maybe you wrote it about yourself, that his brilliance can't be transposed onto television.
Yeah,
I think there's something very true about that.
With every comedian, I think that's true. Well, particularly, maybe even more so with somebody like Phil Kay.
Yeah, really good, isn't he?
Phil Kay is great. Yeah, he's absolutely great. We had Phil Kay on the podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
He's quite smelly.
One of the best guys, or like for me, I saw was Scott Capurro.
Oh, really?
And I mean, he's gay, so he's got. I don't know, but it maybe similar. I don't know if it's a similar style or whatever, but kind of touching on similar things maybe. But I thought,
Oh yeah, you're not making friends here with Al, mate, with that category.
I don't know.
I
I don't
personally
know.
would much prefer Al, but that's just me.
I don't know.
But I'm just
How dare
I'm just
you.
saying I saw him one time. I don't know. I haven't seen him a lot, but I saw him one time in the Top Secret. But I thought it was fun. Like
Yeah.
he had everyone on edge and that kind of what you
He
saying about.
has gotten edgy, hasn't he? I think Scott Capurro now talks a lot about Israel, and I don't know. I don't want to get that wrong, but hasn't he? He's gotten very
But
unfiltered
I'm
political.
not a fan of him or anything. I've seen it one time, but just that particular time.
Sounds like you are a fan of him. You're suddenly saying how great he is, and now suddenly you're denying him. What's going on, Jack?
All right, whatever.
Are you in the
Doesn't
same?
matter.
No,
Yeah.
I get you. Unfiltered
Is he
and
political, Jack?
No, not when I was watching it.
No,
but I don't
no,
know, but-
he's super. He's been Scott has been around for decades, and he's a hugely professional,
But it's not
seasoned,
about him.
experienced.
My point wasn't about Scott Capurro anyway. It could have been about you. It could have been about Paul Chowdhury. Certain people I see in the Top Secret that keep people on the edge of the seats, and the idea that you can't transpose a feeling,
Oh right, right.
onto the screen.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I remember that because most people you watch on stage, they kind of go through the motions. But then certain people you watch and it feels like the back of the audience is kind of coming in on the top of the audience. Everyone's
Yeah.
waiting for the next thing because there's a jeopardy involved.
Oh
There's
right,
a,
yeah, very
Yeah.
good.
What's the next
Yeah.
thing going to be? And I thought
The
that one
danger.
time I saw.
yeah.
the
I like
gym.
it when you're towing. You have to tow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you do too. When you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to tow some sort of a wire. you know?
Well, I think a lot of people when they complain about comedy, they're basically complaining they just didn't find it funny, and they're so arrogant that they think because they didn't find it funny, nobody else should. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And also, there are people who aren't just. Who are just kind of buzzkills, You see them, and they just and they see other people in the room having a great time, and they just don't like. In other words, definitely, like I know members of my extended family. When they see other people happy, it makes them feel physical pain. So you have a lot of these nutters who are very good on the internet and they can fucking contact and send messages and so on. And they also, they're the type of people, when I was growing up, we always went to house parties and there'd be people dancing in a room there, dancing in a room there. And there'd be always one fucker on the stairs crying.
Oh yeah.
Stair criers.
Yeah.
And they were the people who nobody wanted to fucking ride, and there'd be a little group, their coterie around them, kind of, and they getting the attention. And they were the ones who'd fuck it up for all the normal
No,
people.
it's a terrible thing at the party. The forced. That's one thing I don't miss about drinking or excess. The forced trauma dump thing where somebody, kind of you don't know very well, forces you to listen to them talk about, my mother really wasn't very attentive when I was younger, and you go, oh Jesus, and then I realize on reflection they wanted my cocaine. So actually they've singled me out
they
as
wanted-
having the
or-
potential most amount of cocaine.
or
at
they
the party.
just wanted attention because they weren't getting any, because the actual people who were having fun are at the party and they're just dancing and they're carefree and they're not getting any attention, so they're sitting there, they try and make it about themselves, and so those people
they make
now
about themselves
it's not
and cocaine.
it's not that they shouldn't have a voice, they shouldn't be listened to. A lot of people should not be listened to, I would say.
That was on Tommy's new special. He has a good line where he says, I think in the future, listening to your kids will be considered the new child abuse. And it turns into a really good bit,
Yeah.
And, Do can I know you want to wrap up, but maybe throw something in. You could throw it in wherever. Doing this the last year, and we've done a few gigs together and all that, I do understand now why there were people who thought I was a really unfunny, insufferable prick in the past, because I've watched things I did, on the Late Late and bits of comedy I did, and gone, oh God, I wouldn't have wanted to go see me live. And I remember my headspace at the time. I remember that my live act was quite well written and quite well honed, and that people would review my live act. And I got Perrier Award nominated. It got this review that goes, it's cleverer than you think and it's really funny. And then people would book me for something like the Late Late. And I remember the headspace of thinking, I don't want to give away the material from the show, and then them saying, wouldn't it be funny if you sang Just a Gigolo to the grannies in the audience? And me going, yeah, sounds great. And I did everything, and I put on the pink suit and the blue suit, and I got out there and went, and another thing, Ryan, just a gigolo everywhere I go, you know. And people at home were surely going, I can't stand them, you know. I hate them, and I really get it. So I'm partly in the new career trying to A, be a better comic, B, be a respectful professional person, and C, you know, undo some of the memory people have.
Hang on a second now. That sort of stuff that's what's funny about the theatrical comedy. It's so silly.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Prancing around going just a gigolo. No, and on top of everything else, you're a good singer. And that's the thing. You're protected. Yeah, but you're protected. You're protected because you know it's Alan Carr territory, isn't it? And that's why, you know, it's likable and Christ.
Yeah, no. So long as there's a point, it's just the odd time. I think you're missing. Where's the joke?
Yeah, and also
focus.
people weren't really worrying that much about you. You're not that important either. So, you know, so just
you said that to me on the phone the other day. It's so true. Yeah. Dave was like a sponsor to me on the phone the other day because I was having one of them days where I thought, oh my God, this is all quite difficult. This is quite heavy, you know. And Dave was really good on the phone, you know, just in terms of saying to me, you know, people don't think about you as much as you think they do. And you almost don't, you were saying to me, don't need to think about yourself so much. You take the good suggestions.
Well, that's also in Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, literally, some of the negative self-talk in our heads. If it was a person, if it was your mate standing next to you, and saying, "Do you know what you need to do now, Al? You need to stop doing comedy or whatever, so, you know, and start eating food." You'd say to that person, "Mate, I'm a very fucking sensitive, I'm in a very vulnerable position. Fuck off."
Yeah.
And yet they are the horrible ideas and suggestions that you're giving yourself. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Well, you know, whatever. I mean, but also the other thing is to get well and to maintain yourself. It is an effort. You know? Like, you know, you can't you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go to the gym, but to feel just okay. And it's
no, just to be. You have to be conscious.
But sorry, I think that I can't remember.
David can't stop going on about going to the gym since he's
okay. I can't remember
specifically.
Specifically, you were telling me. I don't want to get too personal, but you were telling me about, you know, it's fairly dark thoughts, and you know, and
insecure,
very dark thoughts.
negative.
And if that was someone standing next to you, saying those thoughts to you, you go, "Are you fucking crazy? I can't deal with that. I'm trying to fucking make porridge and go for a fucking walk."
Yeah.
But I remember once I'd just broken up with, and then these thoughts come into my head. She's probably with a guy now, and he's probably looking into her eyes. He's probably looking into her eyes exactly the way you looked into. Yeah. And then, but I was I actually jumped up. And visually grabbed that thought and it was very serious and said and said, "Fuck right off!" And I was screaming at it, going, "I don't need that." And it really did help. But it's amazing, like the sewer and the dark matter, the subconscious, the self-hatred, just you're eat a fucking biscuit, don't do anything.
But before you did that, you came up to my house and you wanted to borrow the car to drive around. And
I love that you know what day this was.
Yeah.
Because this is
no. I know. I was upset. I was so fucked and codependent that I just wanted to drive around in the hopes that I'd bump into this girl. It was such a weak position.
But isn't there a time that we're all, you know, we're all weak and we're all vulnerable. And there is a time for guilt and shame and self-judgment, but it has to have its own appropriate time. And, you know, you have to know when you go, well, I'm taking action on this. You know, when it becomes a kind of a ruminating, constant, intrusive thought. And that's no good to anybody.
That's right. And you could say the same about any of those sort of washing machine and you're just stuck.
Yeah.
Jealousy, if you start working incrementally towards the thing that you think that person has that you don't have and actually make something positive out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I do think the reason the comic has such a loud negative judging voice, one of the reasons is because we train it to be audible, because sometimes we want it on stage.
Yeah.
Because we want the part of us that says, push the red button when we're on stage. But unfortunately, then you go into your everyday life and it's pushing other buttons
And that's
for
what's
you.
so cathartic, I think, as a group, when people hear us saying what they think, but they dare not say.
Yeah.
Because they're living next door to these fuckers, or they're working with these fuckers. They want to hold on to their job. They don't want to have a horrible living environment. So they, hello, yeah, how are you doing? And we can say, you big fucking pain in the hole. Do you know how boring you are with your, you're such a boring man. And people have wanted to say that to people.
Can I say...
So we say it on their behalf.
I don't know if you... Have you noticed this with Dave? And I'm going to take this somewhere and then I'm sure you want to wrap up. But...
Yeah, because normally we only do an hour.
Sorry, but what I noticed...
No, not sorry. Very delighted and very, very, very happy to have you.
No,
Al.
thank you.
Go on, sorry, you were going to say
But what I noticed with Dave is that, in your sobriety, and then I don't know whether it's the more gigs that you're doing or where it's gone now with Dave's comedy, that the vitriolic rants, let's say, or the viciousness, or it has become so acute and so and so kind of real. It comes from a very honest, real place, as opposed to a vague anger that it's very joyful, and it's not mean spirited anymore. I don't know. I just feel like where maybe 10 years ago, if you were on stage and we were going through the drinking period together, and you launched into something that had the same anger and intensity you have now.
Yeah.
But it was scattershot and vague to the point that it was just a hatred of humanity.
So it's
Whereas
a sliper.
now
It's a sliper, and it used to be a shotgun.
Yeah, and now I think that there's a part of you that is really aware of the kind of communal catharsis of it now. And you're almost like a yogi, some sort of teacher coming in. Let's all get angry for an hour. And leave, breathe in resentment, breathe out rage.
But you see how self-aware, you see, because he's been performing for such an early age. In many ways, he's mature beyond his years.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
in other ways, he's only a little chicken running around the hen house. Oh Christ!
Very, very sad.
Oh my God!
But thank you, Al, for those kind words.
I think you're in the same boat as Al now.
Yeah. Well, Al, if we were stuck in a desert island, I'd probably, I'd close my eyes and just let you.
You would make a good.
Would you be top or bottom?
No, I wouldn't let you. I wouldn't.
Just to bring this to a.
Just choose, David.
good call
It's
back.
better to choose.
I don't know.
than,
Yeah. I know. You'd just be like, how long would it take? How long would we have to be on the island? Day 5. Hey, Dave. Day 38. How are you?
Is that you on day? That's you on day 35.
Year 2. I don't know. Whatever.
I think if we had to, yeah. Well,
yeah. What? What are you looking at me like that for?
No, I just got an intrusive thought about stand-up the other night, where there was a very, in my opinion, obviously, and that's fine, obviously transgender woman in the audience, and I had this stuff that I wanted to talk about my trans friend from home. I just got that thought just came into my head, and then you have to just go for it, don't you? Because if it's not something you think you can perform in front of a transgender person, well, then there's probably something you're not proud of about the material. But she really liked it.
Did you have a moment where you saw her and you thought, oh, fuck?
Should I do it or should I not?
No, there was a little moment where I went, can you get cancelled twice? No, but there was a little moment where I thought, I know I'm going to do the jokes because they're about my friend, and I think, and it's silly stuff to begin with. It's silly stuff like, people do it very young these days. They hear transition year and they go, fuck it, I will. And silly stuff. And then it goes more into the in-depth thing of two people that I had been with when I was younger have become women. So then when I was talking to them and saying, oh, you're women now, they said, well, actually, we were always women. And that in accepting that, because I don't know about it enough to go, well, I disagree, it's their life. that I kind of realized, well, then that means I'm bisexual.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and so I'm going into the ins and outs of this thing. And there was that moment of going, will she like it or not? But then I did it. And she came up afterwards and said, you're the first comic live that I've seen who the trans material wasn't about, I'm not who I say I am.
Oh, well, look,
You know.
listen. I mean, that's a deeply philosophical question about identity. And well, what does it actually mean, identity? And I guess for us as heterosexuals, it's so normalized that we don't. We just take it for granted. But there are other people who just don't fit into the thing. I remember when Daniel was very young, he went to kindergarten, and he couldn't handle it. And so he pretended to be. He identified as a dog for a few days, and the Danish are so liberal and open-minded.
And they say,
He's a little dog. Where is he? He's under the table, and we just so Daniel couldn't cope with the whole thing, and just so his identity was a dog, and they acted accordingly. And that's kind of, I mean, I'm not trying to minimize, but that's where we should be. It's like, and also young people.
You weren't worrying about whether he should go into Crufts,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's how I feel people act with transgender people. For years, we were more accepting than now. And now it's been kind of whipped up into this thing because then people don't really know enough about it or have enough time in their day to care, but then they're worried, they're being told to worry about, this woman, is going to win in the Olympics and you need to worry about that. And I think let the experts deal with how the Olympics are going to work. And in your own life, if you meet a Grania or you meet a James, it is what it is.
And also when Daniel was young, he'd come home and he'd say he met this kid, met that kid. And to the kids of that age, ethnicity, where you're from, had no importance.
Yeah.
It was
And
all about,
gender,
are we kind to each other? Do we get on? And that was it. And it's quite spectacular. And kids know more because they know more because they know less.
Yeah.
Because we're all this, this race, this thing, it's all learned shit. And so I just want us to all
superimposed.
hold hands. And can you play some appropriate music?
we could have a seance
and
resurrect my old career.
Yeah. What's your thumb doing there?
Oh, is it too far? No?
No, but listen, the thing is, Al, well, I'm delighted that you came and, you know what I mean? And, have you finished your tour?
No, actually, there's a couple, June 8th and doing Vicar Street again. And
Great.
then there's a few, it's funny, it's not the last gig, so there's a few whimper out gigs then I'm trying to sell.
I'm doing the last whimper out gig of my tour is June 22nd, and it's such a pain in the fucking hole, this gig in Leicester Square Theatre. Are you around June 22nd?
No, that I think I'm either in Westport or Glore in Ennis or something. But I have some good gigs. Like they're great venues. Sea Church, Ballycotton, and Glore.
Oh
and
yeah.
Westport.
We did the podcast.
No, some
on
really,
Sea Church.
really good venues. And
some really good venues. I absolutely love them. It's a great place to have. I'm desperate. I mean, I'm not. I love venues. I just want to make a living, please, God.
I just want to get out of my mother's attic, for God's sake. It's a ridiculous stage of life to be living in your mother's attic.
They're wonderful venues.
Wonderful
They're
venues.
great venues. Glore in Ennis. It's brilliant.
Do you not
I
like
love
that?
it. I walk on stage, I cry. and the seats are in a row. Huh?
And they are always full. People are laughing. That's nice.
No, but it is when these places sell out. It's such a relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you prefer doing gigs in outside of Dublin or in Dublin? Or do you find a difference? Or like more rural kind of
Well, they're all good. Listen, any gig for me at this stage. But they're all great. But I particularly like Northern Ireland sometimes because they're kind of there's an underlying
uptight,
tension of you better be funny.
Yeah.
I do tend to prefer places where they would be more inclined to say you better be funny than good luck.
Yeah.
If they happen to see you before the show.
I slag Al off because I have this image of him, in his 60s or 70s, painting on the makeup and hosting a game show, some shite game show.
the Hunger Games by that stage, you know, going, good evening, everybody, tonight for food rations, fighting on, yeah.
But you're so funny.
David McSavage
you know,
and Bernard O'Shea are having a scrap over the last gig of the night.
in his 60s. Yeah, God, I'm nearly in my fucking 60s anyway. What am I on about? I'm there.
You're there.
What age will you be when I'm 60?
Well,
you
I'm
dead?
58 now. How?
90.
So 30.
90.
Jesus.
Almost 90.
Yeah, 88.
Well, we'll be like Barry Murphy and Sil
Wait
Fox.
a second. How old are you?
He's
31.
Like Daniel.
So I'm nearly
They
60.
born
Wait a
the
sec-
same
oh,
year,
oh, right.
1993.
Yeah.
So in 30 years, how old will I be?
You'll be
88.
88.
Ah, fuck right off. And how old will you be in 30 years?
61.
Jesus Christ, you've got like your whole life ahead of you. What the fuck are you worried about coming in here with your fucking little...
Isn't
oh,
that funny?
man, you know what I mean? Fuck you, Al. and hey, Al.
That's what I said. He's so
Yeah,
young.
he's such an asshole.
He pretends to be
Yeah.
mature.
Yeah, he's not.
Oh, but
He's
he's,
just-
not. He might be mature, but he's
But-
very young.
Do you know it's getting that bad? You know, those you can get laser under your eye bags. I want to, you know what I mean?
Oh, David, stop it. It's
I'm
too
getting
late.
it. It's CO2 laser.
Really?
Laser bag eyes.
You just use bleach, you know. It works for asses. Will work here for your eyes.
Do you bleach your bottom? Oh God.
That's a yes.
It's funny. My mate Paul. my mate Paul. He's anytime, you know, if you hook up with a girl, he says, "Did you see the arsehole?" Like he thinks that's if a girl, like a sexual conquest, like a PlayStation game, that's the end. You finish. Did you see the arsehole? Like so his idea is just like, you know what I mean. Did you look into the? It's like a crystal ball for him. I can see a future. Yeah, I can't talk to my kids about the
You turn off the
arsehole.
lights, so you
You
don't
do
know. You're
anyway.
in the darkness.
Yeah.
I do. I like turning off the lights.
Good. I mean, perfect.
Do you have rumpy pumpy? Do you have bum fun with the lights on or off?
Well, we're together 7 years, almost 8 years, and we
Yes.
live with our parents. So
Yes.
we don't have fun. It's very rare. It's kind of like, and my dad has even got one of these, you know, doorbells that's it's a spy cam. What is this surveillance? You know, where he knows, even if he's in the pub, I see somebody called to the door there. So, you know,
really?
yeah. So if my parents left, and then I said to the boyfriend, you know, they've just gone, you know, do you think you could come round? You know, 8 years in, 31 years old, you know, my dad would go, I see Michael was in the house for 25 minutes earlier. You go, oh my God, you know. Yeah.
Listen, we're not going to do Nicolas Cage and conspiracy theory. Thank you so much to. Have you got the music?
Seance.
What's
music.
that?
Seance music.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you so.
Should we all say
No. But I mean, Jack, like, can you just play? Thank you so
Oh,
much.
that's nice.
Thank you so much to Al Porter. Thank you to my beautiful queen Hannah, beautiful woman. My two princes. Someday this kingdom will be yours. God bless us all, and we're going to have a great week. Let's do it. Let's have goals. Let's go out there and eat chickens.
God bless.
I make her do a handstand and take your baby by the heel and do the next thing that you feel. We were so in phase in a dance all days. We were cool on craze.